Hey there, friends, and welcome to the Health Revival. If you're new here, let me give you a warm hug through the screen. This channel is all about rediscovering the spark in life, especially for those of us who've seen a few more sunsets. Folks over 60 who love a good story, a bit of wisdom, and a whole lot of heart. I'm your host, and I'm here to share tales, lessons, and a sprinkle of old school know-how to help us live fuller, happier lives. So grab a cup of coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's dive into today's story. It's a special one, called In Old Age, the bigger the 8 parts of a woman, the happier life is. Sounds intriguing, right? Let's get started. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 8 parts? What's this all about? Well, this isn't just about looks. It's about what our features say about who we are, how we live, and the blessings we carry. Growing up in a small town in the Midwest, I spent countless evenings on my grandma's porch, listening to her stories about life, love, and the secrets hidden in the way people carried themselves. She'd say, "Child, it's not just what you see, it's what it means." And today, we're going to explore that wisdom through 8 features rooted in the art of physiognomy, or what some call face and body reading. But don't worry, this isn't some mystic mumbo-jumbo. It's about understanding how our traits reflect our character and shape our destiny, with a dash of good old American optimism. Let's start with the mouth. Oh, a wide, generous mouth. What a gift. Back in my hometown, there was a woman we all called Aunt May. She wasn't really anyone's aunt, but her smile stretched ear to ear, and her words, pure gold. A wide mouth, they say, is a sign of someone who speaks with wisdom and charm, someone who can win hearts and open doors. Aunt May was the queen of our local market. She'd chat with farmers, haggle with vendors, and by the end of the day, everyone left with a smile, and she'd have the best deals in town. Her words built bridges, brought in opportunities, and kept her family thriving. I remember her saying, "A kind word can turn a stranger into a friend and a friend into family." That's the power of a wide mouth. It's not just about talking, it's about connecting, uplifting, and drawing in blessings. So, next time you catch yourself smiling wide, know that you're carrying a spark that can light up the world. Now, speaking of lighting up, let's move up to the forehead. A high, broad forehead is like a billboard for brilliance. Think of it as a canvas where big ideas are born. I had a neighbor, Mr. Thompson, whose forehead seemed to touch the sky. He wasn't much for small talk, but when he spoke, you listened. He started as a mechanic, but his knack for seeing the big picture turned his little garage into a chain of auto shops across the state. That forehead wasn't just high, it was a sign of his vision, his ability to plan 10 steps ahead. Compare that to poor Jimmy down the road, who, bless his heart, never looked beyond tomorrow. He'd scoff at Mr. Thompson's big dreams, and sure enough, he stayed stuck in the same rut. A broad forehead tells the world you're not just smart, you're wise with the foresight to build a life that lasts. So if you've got a forehead that stands tall, wear it proud. It's your crown of wisdom. As we're talking about standing tall, let's slide down to a feature that's a bit more grounded. I'm talking about a full, rounded backside. Now don't laugh. This is serious business. In my family, we joke that a big backside was a sign of someone who could hold down the fort. Take my cousin Clara, for instance. She had what we called a prosperity posterior. And let me tell you, she was the backbone of her household. Clara managed the family budget like a Wall Street pro, kept everyone fed, and still had energy to volunteer at church. That fullness wasn't just about looks, it symbolized health, strength, and the ability to keep blessings close. Physiognomy says a generous backside is a mark of someone who's a pillar, someone who brings stability and abundance. Clara's home was always warm, her table always full, and her heart even fuller. So if you're blessed with a little extra back there, give it a pat. It's your badge of resilience. Now, let's talk about the nose. A strong, prominent nose isn't just a feature, it's a statement. It's the mark of someone destined for prosperity and leadership. I knew a man named Mr. Jenkins, whose nose was as bold as his ambitions. He ran a small hardware store, but his knack for spotting trends and making tough calls turned it into a regional empire. That nose, wide and proud, was like a compass for wealth and wisdom. He'd say, "Trust your gut, but lead with your nose. It'll sniff out the good stuff." On the flip side, there was young Tommy, whose smaller nose matched his smaller vision. He jumped from one get-rich-quick scheme to another, never sticking it out. A big nose, they say, shows grit and a knack for seizing opportunities. So if your nose stands out, let it guide you toward the wealth, both in money and in spirit, that's waiting for you. Moving along, let's talk about those thighs. Strong, sturdy thighs are like the roots of a mighty oak. They ground you, give you strength, and carry you through life's storms. My Aunt Louise was a farmer's wife, and her thighs, they were built for hard work. She'd haul hay, chase kids, and still dance at the county fair. Those thighs weren't just muscle. They were a symbol of her endurance, her ability to keep going no matter what. Her family never wanted for anything, thanks to her tireless spirit. Compare that to a gal I knew, Sally, who was all flash and no substance. She'd tire out fast, give up on dreams, and her life reflected that lack of staying power. Big thighs mean you've got the foundation to build a life that's steady and strong. So next time you're walking tall, thank those thighs. They're carrying your legacy. Now let's get to the belly. A full rounded belly isn't something to hide, it's something to celebrate. In my old neighborhood, we had Mrs. Carter, whose belly was as warm as her hugs. She was the kind of woman who'd feed you, listen to your troubles, and make you feel like family. That belly was a sign of her generosity, her good health, and her ability to bring people together. Physiognomy tells us a full belly reflects a heart full of kindness and a life full of blessings. Mrs. Carter's home was a haven, her kids were happy, and her later years were rich with love. Then there was Miss Jenny, who was always pinching her waist, chasing some fad diet. She was so focused on looking perfect that she missed out on the joy of living. A big belly says you're embracing life, flaws and all. So let that belly shine. It's your badge of abundance. Next up, let's talk about feet. Big, sturdy feet are like the foundation of a house. They keep everything standing strong. My grandma Ruby had feet that could have walked to the moon and back. She spent her life tending her garden, raising kids, and helping neighbors. Those feet weren't just big. They were a sign of her steadfast heart, her ability to stay rooted no matter what life threw at her. Her home was a rock, her family was tight-knit, and her later years were peaceful. Compare that to a young woman I knew, Tina, whose dainty feet matched her flighty ways. She'd flit from one whim to another, never building anything lasting. Big feet mean, Number, if you've got solid, full feet, you're built for stability and trust. They're your anchor, keeping you grounded and ready to face the world. Finally, let's wrap up with hands. A big, strong hand is a sign of someone who holds on to blessings and builds a life of plenty. My friend Miss Ellie had hands that could knead dough, mend clothes, and balance a checkbook like nobody's business. Those hands weren't just capable. They were a symbol of her ability to manage, to create, and to keep her family secure. Her home was always full of warmth, her savings account was healthy, and her kids grew up strong. On the other hand, there was a gal named Vicky, whose delicate hands matched her careless ways. She'd spend every dime she had never planning for tomorrow, and her life was a constant struggle. Big hands mean you've got the power to shape your future, to hold tight to what matters. So if your hands are full and strong, use them. They're your tools for prosperity. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a step back. These 8 features, mouth, forehead, backside, nose, thighs, belly, feet, and hands, aren't just about how we look. They're about who we are. They remind us that our character, our choices, and our heart shape our lives far more than any mirror. Aunt May's kind words, Mr. Thompson's vision, Clara's strength, they all came from within. Physiognomy gives us a fun way to see these truths. But the real lesson is this: live with kindness, work with purpose, and love with all you've got. That's the recipe for a happy, prosperous life, no matter what you look like. I hope this story has warmed your heart and sparked a little inspiration. Here at the Health Revival, we're all about lifting each other up, sharing wisdom, and celebrating the beauty of a life well lived. If you enjoyed this, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and join our community. We've got more stories, more lessons, and more love to share. Until next time, may God bless you and keep you safe. See you soon, friends.